So you want to make a inventory based weight system. In today's video, we'll be discovering and discussing just that. To start off, let's make a blank event up here. This will be a parallel event that you'll want to copy and paste on each map. It's just going to run priority, same as characters, trigger parallel because you want it to always be running and always be checking. And then just simply put common event, and then I just named it inventory weight. You can name it whatever you want, but to do that you just come into event command and call the common event command and then whatever event that actually is. After that, you'll want to make the actual system. So we'll start off at the top. You'll want to, you don't have to, I put the comments just so I know what it is. So this is setting your player's base carry weight. The base carry weight is going to be 100. So if self switch A is off, control variable, whatever variable you have, I named it player weight limit. So their weight limit is equal to 100. So if this switch is off, their weight limit is equal to 100. This will initially set their weight limit to 100. Then we'll want to set their weight level if you want the levels to be upgradable, or the weight to be upgradable, I should say. Control variable, whatever variable, I named it player weight level equals 1, so they start off at level 1. Then turn the self switch A on so this doesn't run again, because when the player upgrades their level, you don't want this to run again and reset their weight limit and level to 1. After that, you'll want to upgrade carry weight levels. You can add as many levels as you want and put it at whatever variable you want. That's something you'll have to figure out for your game. Just for tutorial purposes, I just went up to level 5 and a weight limit of 1000. Then I gave the player a little feedback on what their carry weight is. So if player weight level, so that level that we originally set up here, goes after that one, after that conditional branch. If player weight level is equal to 5, you always want to put the highest number first. Otherwise, this will always be true, and this will always run, and this will always show, which won't always be true. So you want to go highest to lowest because this one won't always be true. So again, if player weight level is equal to 5, control variable, whatever your variable is, player weight limit is equal to 1000. That sets their new carry limit. So if they're at 999, they are 1 pound underweight. Very close. And then just a little feedback to the player, your carry weight is 1000 pounds. And then you just create a else branch for that and do the rest of the levels 4, 3, 2, 1. This is kind of what it looks like. I just set different weight limits, different feedback, different weight limit, different feedback, so on and so forth. At the bottom of 1, you really don't need it to be an else branch because that's the end all be all for the levels, or the beginning, I should say. At the bottom of that, I kind of put a little comment of how much I want everything to weigh. This, again, just for tutorial purposes. You can do lightweight potions, medium potions, heavy potions, just like I did. Lightweight armor, medium, heavy. Short blade weight, medium blade, and heavy blade. But again, just for tutorial purposes, I kind of dumbed it down and did the basics. So we started off with lightweight item calculation. So you'll want to create a variable, light item weight. This will be typically your potions. That's what I was using it for. So you'll want to create a variable, light item weight, and then you want it to add to the game data. Let me pull it up. The game data, the number of potions. So you'll select the item within the game data. I have it equal to potions, or adding to the number of potions, my bad. And then you repeat that for each item that you want to calculate under the light bracket. So the light bracket would be ×1 because it's the lightweight. So I just did potion, super potion, full potion. So let's say the player has 5, 5, and 5. That's 15. And then it'll multiply it because that's supposed to be the weight. So it's the base number of these multiplied by what the weight's actually supposed to be. So if this was 3 and this was 5, 5, 5, so 15, 15 times 3, what, 45? So the player's potions would weigh 45. You can tweak this however you want. You can make it ×3, ×2. Just depends if you want it to be lightweight or not. So after you kind of get that set up, you'll set the actual player weight. the player weight is equal to the light item weight. So that adds all these, then multiplies it, then equals the player's weight to the light items. Oops. Did not mean to do that. I forgot that you can even drag in this system. Okay. Yeah, so that add all those, multiply it at the end to equal the actual weight, and then it will set the player's weight to the light item weight. And then you want to reset the weight back to 0 after, otherwise this will keep adding every time it's ran. So for instance, again, if this is 5, 5, and 5, the next time this event is ran, because it's adding, it will add another 5, 5, and 5, even if the potions the player has is 0. It will, or 1 I should say, not 0. 0 wouldn't matter. As long as it has a value above 0, it would just keep adding. So I found resetting it at the end is the best after setting the weight for the player. After that, I just did a medium weight calculation. It's control variable. You're just creating variables for all these. Medium weight calculation for weapons is... Where'd it go? Medium weight weapon, I just created all these variables: light, medium, heavy, light, medium, heavy, light, medium, heavy. So it's that variable equal to the game data of the number of short swords or whatever weapon you want the players to be calculating. You don't want the player to have free inventory space, obviously, or I guess a weapon that doesn't weigh anything, unless that's something you do want, I guess. So after that, you just repeat that for all the weapons that you want, and then I have it multiplying by 5 because they're medium weights. You could do this for each individual item, equipment, sword, whatever you want, but that becomes a problem if you have too many items. There would be a lot of calculations that you would have to do, but if that's something you want to do, you can definitely expand on this. This is just a foundation for you to build upon. So again, we have the 3 swords, and then at the end, it's adding all these. So 5, 10, 15, 15 times 5, I think. Hold on. Actually, what is the medium weight? Yeah, the medium weight is 5. So 5, 10, 15, 15 times 5. So that gives us, you know, that weight for that. So it adds the player's weight plus this. So it adds the total of that to the player's weight, and then sets this back to 0 so we don't have the issue that we discussed before. And then the player's weight, or the player weight difference, is equal to player weight. So the player's weight difference is equal to the player weight. Then you want the player weight difference to minus the player weight limit. This will give us the difference and allow us to give the player buffs or debuffs. Getting back into this, we were talking about the debuffs. So if you want to actually check debuffs or add debuffs to the player, you can add states. You can just set the movement, player route, and lower their speed or increase their speed if they're severely underweight maybe. So I just simply did the player's weight difference is equal to the player's weight. So the difference, let's say, is equal to the player's weight. So 100, and then the weight difference is subtracting the weight limit. So if the player actually weighs, let's say, 200 for player weight, and the weight limit is 100, there would be a 100 difference. Now this says if the player weight difference is equal to or more than 100, you are over encumbered. Your inventory weight is variable 10 of variable 11. So that says the player's weight is variable 10, and then variable 11 is actually the weight limit. I believe that's right. Weight limit. Yeah, that's the weight limit. So it's telling the player that they have a maximum weight of X over Y. So in this scenario, it would be 100 of 100. Seek a shop or scrap items. You can really make this event auto scrap items for the player. That's a whole nother thing. If you guys kind of want me to go into that, I can. But for this debuff, since they're overweight by 100, I just set the player's movement speed in the set movement route equal to player set movement speed found somewhere in here, and then you can set whatever you want: normal, 2 times slower, 4 times slower, 8 times slower. The heavier the player gets, obviously the slower you should make them. Being 100 pounds overweight, maybe it's not a big deal, depending, you know, how big their carry weight actually is. You can mess with this system as much as you need to I also did a else. If the player weight is equal to or more than 50 overweight, you are over encumbered. Same thing. Your weight is whatever. Your player speed is reduced to 2 times slower. So setting the player speed to 3. You don't need this weight 500 frames. I just did that because I have all of this popping up. So since this is running in parallel, these texts will keep popping up. Now, if you don't want the text to pop up multiple times, just delete the text. You won't really be giving the player feedback. You can maybe set like an NPC or something for the player to check these, but this is a parallel event, so it will keep popping up. So again, you can get rid of the 500 frames. That's also a bad refresher for checking the player's weight constantly. So you'll want to delete every single text in here if you don't find your own solution to that. My idea at the end was, rather than having this, I was going to make a UI feedback, so having the player's weight displayed at like the bottom left, but then I'd have to make custom assets and all of that good stuff. It's really up to the developer. Again, this is just kind of a base foundation. So just to re-clarify, I guess, this is a parallel event. This will run infinitely, we'll say. This text will keep popping up if you don't make it a UI instead. If you make it a UI, then it'll change numbers or whatever you kind of put up on the screen rather than displaying text multiple times. That's maybe another tutorial if you guys don't know how to do that and want to know. That's kind of a whole different thing. So after that parallel event, I just made a couple chests just to kind of test the system. You're just changing the weapons, and then the event kind of does everything else for you. These two NPCs, I just made these two NPCs for testing purposes. He gives gold, and she actually upgrades the player. So again, the max level that I made was level 5. So if player weight level is 5 or more, set the level back to 5 because I want that to be the max. I don't want the player to have level 10 for no reason and keep wasting their gold, we'll say, because it just keeps multiplying later on in this. And then I just made a simple text box: I'm sorry, you've reached the max carry capacity, and then just exit the event so the player can't do anything else. So at the beginning of this event, this is technically the beginning right here. That's just a, you know, kind of, hey, this is the end, you can't upgrade anymore kind of thing. Control variable, player gold. So I made a variable, player gold equal to game data of gold. So that's the player's gold. The variable is pulling the character's gold from the actual game data. And then a simple text box: would you like to upgrade your weight limit? Choices: yes, no. So for yes, you want the player level cost, you'll have to create a variable. Player level cost is equal to a base of 500. You can really make this anything. This will be the base level cost, so every level will be that cost multiplied by the level that they're upgrading to. So for instance, if the base cost is 1,000, it would be 1,000 times whatever level they're upgrading to. So if they're upgrading to level 5, it should be 1,000 times 5, or 5,000. If you make it 1,000,000, it'd be 1,000,000 times whatever level they're upgrading to. So if it's 2, then it'd be 2,000,000. Then after that, I did player level cost times player weight level. That's their level that we're multiplying by. So again, the math is the base cost right here. So it's saying 500 times the weight level. And their weight level starts off at 1, as we discussed before, so it would be 500 times 1, or again, whatever you make that base number. Then I created a text box. Awesome. That will be 500 gold times the level. So 500 gold times variable 13. Variable 13 is the player weight level. And then this will cost 14 gold. That's variable 14 gold. So that pulls this number at the end. So that's the total. So that would actually do the math for you, then display it to the player. And then I made another text: are you sure you want to increase your carry weight? Show choices: yes, no. Then I did a conditional branch: if gold is more than or equal to the player level cost. So if the player has 0 gold but the cost weight is 1,000, you would put something in this else branch saying, hey, you don't have enough gold, exit event processing, or whatever you need. So that would look something like this. You just show text, not enough. Oh, if I could type, not enough gold. And then you would just do that so it kicks the player out of the event. So in the event that they do have enough gold, I have increased your carry weight level by 1. Then you want to subtract the gold minus the player level cost. So that subtracts the player's actual gold minus the math calculation that we did earlier. Then you want to control variable player weight level plus 1. Your weight level is variable 13. So this calls the variable to let the player know what the actual weight level they are now is. And then those are just exit conditions. That's really it for the upgrade portion of that. There's more that you can always do with that. It really just depends on the developer. You can also add armor to this. I was going to do that, but I'm just giving the base foundation. That's essentially it for the tutorial. Again, this is a parallel event. You're going to have to figure out how you want this to display to the player. You can always have these display maybe once every X amount of time. You could do switches with this. So you could flip a switch and then show it like every 10,000 frames or whatever, just notifying the player that they're overweight. That's something for you to figure out as a developer. If you need any additional help, I can always provide that. You can contact me on Reddit, Discord, under this post, and the YouTube comments, whatever it may be. The last thing that I'll add is this little event that we made earlier. That's a blank event. You want to copy and paste this on every single map so the inventory weight is always running and checking the player's weight. We'll showcase it a little bit just to kind of, I guess, show the tutorial. So you can see that that event already ran as soon as the player spawned in. Your carry weight is 100 pounds. Your player weight is 0 pounds of 100, meaning the player has nothing on them. And that's what I was saying before. This event is always going to be running. So you might want to add some switches and some weight frames just to make this pop up way less. I just, for tutorial purposes, set it to weight 500 frames so it pops up constantly so I could debug it. Swords were found. That's just chest texting to let us know. So you can see I can move around normally, and then it says your player weight is 60 of 100. So our weight is still not affected. So we'll click this a couple more times to multiply our weight, and now we should be over encumbered when the event runs again. Your player weight is 150 of 100. You are over encumbered. Your inventory weight is 150 of 100. Seek a shop or scrap items. Your weight difference is 50. Your player speed is set to 3 or 2 times slower. So now you can see the player is not able to run around as much. We'll click this a couple more times just to show. And you can see your player weight is 225 of 100. You are over encumbered. Your inventory weight is 225 of 100. Seek a shop or whatever. Your weight difference is 125. Your player speed is reduced to a 2 or 4 times slower. Now if we come over to this lady, it's going to pop up before we get there because we're so slow. We want to go to him to just get our gold. Yeah. And again, that's that event running. He gave us gold. She's going to let us upgrade our weight limit. So I'm just going to upgrade to the max. Okay. So we upgraded to max. I'm sorry, you've reached your max carry capacity. Your weight carry limit is 1,000 pounds. You are 225 pounds of 1,000. So you can see that we're still slow. That's because we didn't make a conditional branch saying if the player is underweight, return them back to normal. So we'll have to, that's essentially that though, the little, I guess, debug or tutorial version of that. We'll have to add to this to make it say if the player is not overweight, we'll return their speed to normal. So under this, under the 50, since they're not overweight by 50 or more, we'll make it say just return player speed back to normal, which would be 4. So if we add that in, it should return them to normal. Actually, let me add a text just as a debug. Your weight difference, your player speed is set back to 4 or normal. And then, yeah, that should work. So now we'll test it again just to be sure. Go back into this, new game. Yeah. We know. We'll just spam, get a bunch of swords, and then we'll run over there and upgrade our carry limit after we get over encumbered, just to make sure that our system works. Okay, we should definitely be over encumbered enough by now. Yep, we are over by 125 pounds. So we are 4 times slower currently. We just got our gold. Click this person, upgrade our carry limit. So I'll go a little bit slower just so you guys can see how that event actually runs. Your weight limit is level 2. Your carry weight is now 350 pounds. Your player weight is 225 of 350. Your weight difference is minus 125. So you're not overweight. Your player speed is set to 4 or normal. So now the player can move freely again because they are not overweight due to their carry limit being not overweight. So we can test that system again by grabbing a bunch of swords to make sure that it still works by setting the player overweight again. So this means once you hit that max level of, what was it, 1,000 pounds, then if the player goes over the 1,000 pounds, they're going to be overweight again. So you can see the player is overweight by 55 pounds. You can set different thresholds, like if you want the player to be overweight by, let's say, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 5 pounds. It depends how, you know, I guess tough you want the game to actually be. You are overweight by 100 pounds. Yep, now we are 4 times slower. We'll just cheat a little bit. We'll just cut straight through this. And we will upgrade our carry weight to the max level to finish off the tutorial. So, would you like to upgrade? Yes, awesome. That will be 500 gold times the level. This will be 1,500 gold because it's our base cost times our current level of 3. Are you sure you want to increase that? Yes. Increase level by 1. Weight limit is 4, 500. Increase one more time. And now we are maxed out. You have reached a max capacity. We can also move freely again. That will conclude this tutorial. If you guys have any questions, again, please reach out to me on Reddit, Discord, or under the YouTube comment section. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.